Today we got the soy pill. We got Grid One Motorsports here to discuss things on Unreasonable Man on YouTube. Let's go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell everybody who you are, what you are. We'll start with you, Grid.
Yeah, so I'm Grid One Motorsports. I'm an Unreasonable Man is the name of my channel. You can find it at Grid One Dash Motorsports on YouTube. I do stream to Twitch and all the others sometimes, but not very much lately. And I'm trying to figure out how to make all this work because I don't normally go through Discord. So let me.
So the easiest way, pop it out as its own window cap that in Streamlabs.
Yeah, it's probably.
Anyway, while he's doing that, soy pill.
Yeah, hey, I'm the Soy Pill. I make video essays. I got roped into this 3 minutes ago, and so I'm underprepared and ready as hell. And nice to meet you, Grid. Let's talk about Donald.
Fantastic. Yeah, so we're as we all know, we're approaching the Trump 100-day mark here. As of today, we are now at 68 days. The only reason why we're doing the 100-day thing is because that was our original topic that I got told about at 5 a.m. last night. So I figured we'll just keep it as that. We can grade it. We'll check figures as we go. Good old ChatGPT and Grok won't never steer us wrong.
Let's just Google it.
Yeah, Google. And if not that, Google will be fine. I don't think anybody here is really the source kind of guy. Some people, so I think we'll be all right.
Good, I'll lie a lot.
So Grid, let's start it off with you. What do you think of the Trump so far? How do you grade it? What are your thoughts? All that good jazz.
I mean, I'm going to rate him like probably in the. If I had to give him a grade, it's like a B plus. There's some things I wish that he obviously could do better, but it's it's all fine right now. I do think that I think he's toned down the rhetoric a little bit, but maybe not quite enough. He still says things that people take at face value when he's actually just being very rhetorical and bombastic to an extent. But overall, pretty happy. I have criticisms just like I have criticisms of anyone else, but overall, pretty good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Soy Pill, what are your thoughts, grades?
Yeah, I wish I had a little more time to compile everything, but I'm just going to name all of the things off the top of my head that I think are going horribly. I think that Donald Trump has shown the vast incompetence in his administration. He's appointed a man who does not know what he's doing to the Health and Human Services Department. We have leaks coming out of our Department of Defense. Our NSA director or advisor is having his Venmo contacts public. Just all sorts of terrible shit happening. We're destroying our soft power. We are losing our ability to communicate and negotiate with other countries. Canada is not our friend. Greenland is not our friend. The EU is not our friend. People are pulling out of deals. This is maybe one of the most catastrophic presidencies I have at least had in my lifetime, if not in America's lifetime, considering how much we are torpedoing our accountability. And it's pretty fucking bad. So I will get into the details on that, but that's just my summary, my overview of, things are really bad. Now, I will stipulate or concede that if you are a Christian nationalist who wants America to be an isolationist country and not have any sort of relationships with other people, no influence other than with their incredibly strong military, then you're probably pretty happy. I think gay marriage is going away, abortion's probably going away. We're going to have Christian nationalist policies influenced by this theocratic ideas, and if you're a fan of that, you're actually probably, it's going to be hard for me to argue with you. Those are just what you want, and I can argue that it's bad for me, but you'll probably be pretty satisfied. So, and I give him a D if you're giving him a B plus.
A D.
Not failure because we're not all dead yet.
Giving him the D, huh? I see. I should have known that was. No, I'm just kidding. All right, yeah. So perfect. I think that you mentioned this right off your opener, Soy Pill. So, and this is a good place to start because I know you're at least prepared for this. Right, because we talked about it last night. Pete Hegseth, basically, let out some stuff in the memos, and a little bit of concern. I've heard some people on the right saying this is similar to Hillary's email scandals. What do you have to say about that, Grid? Do you think this is similar to Hillary email scandals? How bad do you think this is? Because this is in the news cycle this week. Let's just start with the easiest one right off the bat. Grid.
I I'm sorry, you're gonna have to give me that again. I was distracted.
Yeah,
trying to
sure.
set up
So
this Discord.
no, that's fine. So Pete Hegseth, he's in the news this week. It's been in the
Yes.
news cycle.
The
I've
signal app
Right.
thing.
I've seen righties, my fellow righties, have complained recently. Some of them in my IRL real life circle have complained. They've compared this to the Hillary email scandals, and they said, "Why has Fox News told us it's bad for 16 years, and then now, we're hand waving it." What do you have to say to something like that from the criticisms from people on the right, even?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it was a bad choice to use Signal at all. I think it's an even worse choice. I mean, I can understand some of the things that we all play into where it's easy or hey, everybody's using this particular software, like using Discord tonight instead of just looking it up on Streamlabs or some shit. But I get it. I've never bought into the security of Signal. I'm slightly familiar with it, not super familiar with the actual use of it, and I would never use it for a group thing like that. And I wouldn't. I don't know that I would. Just the way it went down, it just seems like there was an expectation that the reality didn't meet, right? Like for some reason, they thought that the Signal app was going to be secure, but it's not secure if somebody can literally just invite somebody in and you not know it, and they can screen capture everything that you're doing. So that seems just like
Well, they
this
did
seems
know
like
actually. They get a notification at the bottom when someone joins the group chat. So it's secure as far as like end to end, as long as no one's found out a way to hack through the open source code. But as of now, yeah, like they could see their screenshots of it. Hey, Jonah Goldberg joined the chat, or not Jonah Goldberg, whatever his name is. But yeah, like they knew he was there. They just didn't care because they're not paying attention and they're doing a bad job.
Yeah, I think it was a large group, right? It was
Sure,
it was
yeah.
multiple people, and not everybody knew.
And not a single
everybody
one
that
of them
was
caught it. Yeah,
behind it.
unfortunately. So
Yeah,
yeah,
not
our
everybody knew
national
everybody.
security director,
Like,
our
you just see a
NSA
name at the bottom of
director,
the page,
our
like, yeah,
director of
okay.
the DoD,
Don't
like
do
they're all kind of pretty incompetent, it seems.
Well,
Um,
for the righties, right? Like I know, like I said earlier, this is the equivalent to Hillary's emails. I mean, what's the famous thing that Trump said? Like lock her up, all this stuff. Are you against like firing Pete Hegseth for this, and the other people involved, or maybe some heads will roll for this kind of fuck up grid, or do you think this is just a one off? We should just move on by. What is your opinion here, Greg? Because I know Soy Pill's critical, and I'll let him get in on this. But what is your thoughts here on this specific one?
I mean, my thoughts are, I mean, I guess it's the kind of the same thing. I mean, it's really, I mean, I can't go along with. It's equivalent, but it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? Like this is where literally a guy was given access by somebody else who didn't have permission to give access, and for whatever reason it just went unnoticed, or they didn't care, or the group was, there's 19 people, and the guy was at the very bottom and they didn't scroll down, and whatever it was, whether or not the information is classified, declassified, I honestly, that's the least part of the issue to me, right? The issue is that their procedures were so lax. I can't think of a better word. Is it just
Negligent,
lax.
incompetent.
Well, I could also say trusting and unfamiliar, but yeah, sure. I do think that whoever set it up had a lot of faith in this and had a lot of faith in the people that was not well earned, right?
Do you think we should have faith in Trump's cabinet picks?
I don't have a problem with Trump's cabinet picks. I have a problem with the guy who actually invited this news person in, who is literally an anti-Trump, anti-everything guy. Like, why is that guy involved? I mean, who thought that was a good idea?
Who was that?
Sorry, so I'm saying Michael Waltz invited Goldberg, right? But do you trust Michael Waltz? He's the national security advisor appointed by Trump.
I mean, I don't know that I don't know if I trust him now. I mean, I probably would have before he invited someone that's a known bad person, or not bad person, but a known leaker of
He's not a Trump loyalist for sure. And I mean, actually, he handled this with remarkable integrity, considering he didn't leak it until they kind of came out and said none of it was classified, and removed himself from the chat once he realized that he was not supposed to be there.
Yeah, I mean,
again, I think this
is
is more
that
of a
Michael Waltz?
breakdown
Or,
of.
is that Michael
I think
Waltz,
this
or
is
is
more a
that the
breakdown of
journalist himself?
procedure, right? Like I have this. I had the same thing happen to some degree in my company, right? Where people that were not supposed to be in meetings were just randomly invited because somebody thought they should be there.
Mhm.
I'm like, why is this fucker here?
Did you
Right?
punish
Yes.
them, or did
Well,
they have
why?
any
What the
repercussions,
problem
or
is?
what
Well,
happened?
Michael Walls. So just a cursory Google search that I just did here. No, big time research advocates here.
Hmm.
Sorry,
Uh,
I'm not
Wait,
googling. So.
you did Google first, not ChatGPT? What happened, Admiral?
yeah. Well, it just happened to be what I had up at the time.
Mm.
But either way. But that's interesting. Michael Walls apparently has his Venmo is public. I guess it's the new thing circulating today, and it's all full of journalists. That like on the surface, that seems sus to me. Does anybody else here find that sus?
Well, it's just completely negligent, all right? He's like someone who's worked in the Pentagon prior to this. He's aware of how security information leaks happen. He's completely aware that he should not be using these public platforms to have these sort of communications, and he's doing it anyway because he's either trying to hide the information, maybe because they don't want the, like as with the Mueller report, these communications to be investigated like 2 or 3 years from now, or they're just stupids. It's either stupid or malicious or both, but either way, these people shouldn't be in the positions of power they're in. And I mean, Grid, you seem to agree that it's at the very least not good, and you wouldn't trust Michael Waltz anymore. So I would hope that this would be something that would make you question a Donald Trump appointee who clearly, he says I have the best people, and then he puts someone like this in and has a colossal fuck up. I think that should make you question his other picks, and I think it should make you question whether or not you should put your loyalty behind someone who's picking people that are not doing a good job.
Great.
Okay, so I don't disagree with. I mean, in a way, I don't disagree with that. I think Waltz. I don't know enough about Waltz to know whether he's a good pick or a bad pick. I don't know if he's good at his job or bad at his job.
Well, what about now, though?
But what I do know is that he apparently made a very stupid mistake, and that needs to be reconsidered. Right? If we all hired winners every time, then business would never suffer, unfortunately, and nobody would get fired. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way. And honestly, I don't know that Waltz did it himself. I don't know that some staffer just added somebody to the list.
Oh, he's taking responsibility for it as of now, unless he's lying.
Procedure here, right? Like there's got to be a procedure in place for who gets to invited to these meetings and why they're there.
There is a
and
procedure
what kind
for
of
this,
credentials are involved,
and they're not following it.
Yeah, it seems like it's fast and loose, right?
Yeah, there are dedicated channels for this that they use in war rooms and embassies and in the houses of these people's, like the president's house, the senators' houses, the DOD's, the heads' houses. Like they have secure channels for this. I forgot what it's called again. Like there's some technology they use that is government approved, and they're not using that. They're using Signal, which is specifically advised against by the Pentagon. So regardless of even if this ever got out, if we found out this was happening a year from now, and it didn't even take into account that this maybe would have compromised this Yemen strike, it's clearly I guess a dereliction of duty and either incompetence or it's negligence or it's malicious. But whichever of those three it is, like you say, I don't know if he was a good pick. Maybe he had the credentials. I don't know. I didn't know about this guy until this happened. But now I would hope that you would at least call for this guy to step down, maybe face criminal charges because it is violating the law to be negligent and leak secure information. But would you do that? Would you call for this person to step down, be replaced by someone at least a little more competent?
Sorry, I got my phone ringing here. Give me 1 sec, guys.
Yeah, take your time.
I apologize.
I mean, I personally, I'll step in while he does that. Let's see if I can fix my thing here. Take away my grid view. 1 second. I'll have a technical issue. I'll be right back. Having all the problems. So
I'm being phone mogged right now. That's every time someone corners me, just take out your phone, get a call, guys.
So, yeah, I mean, I would say that I have issues with it to some extent. I'd probably want him fired. Personally, if it was up to me.
Okay, I respect that. I mean, like, it's pretty bad. Like, it's really, really, really bad.
I mean, yeah, there we go. I found it. I don't know what happened there. All right, it took away my grid view option. Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, it doesn't seem good. It doesn't seem good that we got a guy that added a journalist, and then, like I said, upon further review, he's got 200 journalists in his Venmo. Not saying that someone paid somebody, but. I
Well,
find that suspicious.
I don't think
like,
anyone's paying anyone. I think that's just a matter of Venmo. Knowing that he has that public, that means he probably let Venmo access his contacts. So anytime he's ever reached out to a journalist, now they are in his Venmo. It doesn't mean he was Venmoing those journalists necessarily. I just think it's dumb to have your Venmo public. That's very stupid and incompetent. So
that's also true. Yeah, I mean, both of those are true statements. I know that, what is it, PayPal? Like, it also does that, where you people can see you make PayPal payments and stuff. I know when I had my identity stolen a few years ago, LifeLock told me straight up I can't no longer use Venmo. Right?
Wow.
They said if I use it, it voids their contract with them. And so, I mean, it's crazy to me that if LifeLock has that security thing on there, that the U.S. government wouldn't have that as a security thing with Venmo, which I don't know. I don't know if that applies to Signal, but...
Sorry, what is LifeLock?
So they're an agency that you can pay to, like, if you have someone steal all your socials and all your like identity, and they will they have like I don't know, like $1 million.
LifeLock. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. They like go and protect you from like identity theft. So like they basically were like, hey, you can't use Venmo. It's a security issue.
Yeah.
Whatever. So it's interesting that the government doesn't have that for like classified people that handle classified documents, but
they do. I'm pretty sure they have something where they have incredibly strict security protocols for these things, and to find a way to get around those is like you have to have tried. You have to have said, "Oh, I am going to intentionally not use the lines of communication that we otherwise would that are government approved and use Signal instead." So this was a choice. It was not a hey, someone told me to do this, or this is the government approved thing to do. It's not. So.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree. I find the Signal thing choice. I don't know how comparable Venmo is to Signal, right, in this regard, but I do find it concerning that they're talking about these things on an app that they don't have full control of, because they do have an ability. I guess it's a pain in the ass, but isn't it purposely supposed to be a pain in the ass? It's kind of my understanding.
Well, let me say this. I will say, if you're comparing Venmo and Signal, and this is, I don't know if you use either of these, but Venmo, especially if you had all your, you can't. So, if you have Venmo purchases active public, which it seems that he did, anyone can go and read exactly how much money you paid, or not how much, but exactly what you paid for and who you paid. So it's who the contact is, who the sender is, who the receiver is, and the message that says what it's for. The difference between that and Signal is, to my knowledge, still, there's no like breach in this, end-to-end encrypted. So it's not stupid to think that Signal is a little more secure than SMS or any of those other things that can be hacked. Technically, because it's open source, a Russia or any other bad actor could potentially find a vulnerability, but to my knowledge, I mean, obviously, if they could find a vulnerability, they wouldn't tell you. But to my knowledge, even the government said, hey, government employees, not people doing, secure war defense planning or whatever. But, if you're just texting someone, I recommend you use Signal instead of SMS if you don't want China or Russia to use these things, because it is a little more secure. So that was what that memo from CISA in 2023 or 2024 December was. They were telling government employees like, hey, like for just these casual things, you might actually want to use Signal. Now they've since retracted, or I don't know if they've retracted it, but past this leak, they're like, okay, just don't even use Signal, period. But it's clearly, you'd have to know that you are not using what you're supposed to be using to go use Signal. It's more secure than texting, but it's absolutely not what you should be putting the detailed locations, weapons, and timing of a plan on a foreign country in.
Yeah, I tend to agree with most of that. I definitely feel like when heads roll, when shit happens at my companies and shit that fucks up like this, somebody gets fired. Like if it's that substantial, like if someone leaked out personal confidential information to somebody else, I'd be firing people. Like you can't have clients lose all their info to because of you. Like that's a no-no. Great, it looks like you're back here. Are you?
You're muted if you're having.
You're muted. You're muted though. You're muted on your end.
My bad. I had a phone call, so I had to. I'm sorry. Apologize.
You're good. You're good. Absolutely.
Was technically unplanned, and my wife
was that Pete Hegseth?
I'm sorry.
Was that Michael Waltz calling you?
No.
Is your Venmo check in the mail? If it is, feel free to send some my way. No, all right. So moving on.
Okay.
The way I think we're going to do this, I'm just going to fire bullet points here because it's a lot of things in Trump's first 68 days. Let's talk about the other big news, I guess, in the last 24 hours was Canada saying that the alliances with the U.S. are basically done, and then Trump today saying they had a very productive call. What are our thoughts on this? We'll start with you this time, Soy Pill. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the way that Donald Trump is attacking Canada is ridiculous. I mean, talking about, or even something you said at the beginning that kind of stood out to me. I noticed you didn't really say any specifics, Grid, about like what you really liked. I mean, I'm sure there. I'm not accusing you of being vapid or anything. I'm sure there are things that you could point to, and we'll get to those. But one thing you did say was people are getting upset because of his rhetoric, because he's saying things and he's not really like meaning them. And this has kind of been an earmark of Trump's presidency. It's like, oh, he doesn't really mean what he says, and it's a defense for all of the egregious and ridiculous things that he says. So when he says things like "let's make Canada the 51st state," it doesn't matter if he's joking. What matters is he's the president, and he's doing things that would imply that he does want to make Canada the 51st state. He does want to take over, and he's ruining our relations with an ally. He's talking crap about a trade deal that was signed with them because he says, oh, we have a trade deficit or something like that, which I'm not even sure he knows what a trade deficit is. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but he signed that deal. Now he's imposing tariffs on Canada that are hurting American businesses because he's under the implication that, hey, all these industries and factories are going to come back, but just 2 or 3 years after we completely tank the economy and completely screw investors over because they're completely uncertain about what the market's going to be. I just think he is destroying every goodwill we've had with not just Canada but all of our other countries. And I do think that would he have the ability to, he would invade and take it over and make it the 51st state. So not very happy with how he's treating them.
Rick.
Okay. Yeah, so I read, and I don't know how accurate this is because, I mean, can you really believe the press? But I read that on some article about how they were laying off like 250,000 Canadian employees because of the tariffs and trade restrictions, and that's a tragedy for them. But I gotta say, their socialist policies got them to that point. So I'm not, and I can't. I find it hard to really care what happens in Canada.
Oh,
I don't necessarily.
could you elaborate on that? What do you mean the socialists?
Hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Let you talk.
Yeah, I'll stop.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't actually consider Canada much of an ally. I consider them more of at best, the guy next door that leaves his trash in my yard and parks his beat up 4-wheel drive on the fucking driveway, Gibbs. And I don't really. It's kind of like Mexico, but with a slightly bigger wallet, and I just don't care. I wouldn't mind annexing Canada, except that I don't want to pay the bill for it. At the end of the day, Trudeau drove their country to savage state, and they're going to suffer. And I think short term, maybe tariffs hurt more than we think they are. I don't know. I remain unconvinced. We'll find out here shortly. I really like the idea of how the other countries are responding by dropping their tariffs or lowering their tariffs they've had in place for decades. And I really find it interesting, and maybe you can explain this because you seem like a bright guy. Why is it that every other country in the world can put a tariff on our goods, which is what makes our goods so expensive, but we get pissed off when we tariff their goods so that our goods are, so that we compete on an equal playing field? I actually believe in free trade, free of government interference. I am actually an isolationist. I believe, and I won a debate on that the other night, and handily, I should say. I think that if it hurts, it hurts. But if it hurts and gets us to a better place, that's better than the alternative of our never-ending spending, which at some point will crash down upon our ears, and we'll be in the next Great Depression or some other thing like that. It's just not sustainable, and I'm all for, and I'm going to use a word that you leftists should absolutely enjoy and covet and love. I'm all about sustainability, and the way that we're treating our economy is not sustainable. So Trump needs to fix that. Trump is going to fix it. So good.
Okay.
Sorry, Soy Pill. I talked a lot.
Yeah. No, you're good. By the way, at the beginning, like when I interrupt, it's only because like I know we're saying a lot of points. I'm not trying to do it to like undermine you. Just I want to like hit on one thing. Sometimes I can't remember it all. Feel free to do it back the other way. So the first thing, this idea that Canada is socialist, I think, I mean, obviously on a spectrum compared to us, sure it is, but I mean, like, because they have universal healthcare, they're very much still a capitalist country. There's no like workers owning the means of production. But I to say that the 250,000 layoffs are because of Trudeau, I mean, they're happening because of the tariffs, right? Steel workers are being laid off because steel is now way too expensive. They can't afford to pay all of their employees. It's happening because of the trade war that Trump is imposing. Now, whether or not you care about that, like you said, if you don't care, you don't care. That's fine. I mean, I care, but it's fine if that's your opinion on it. But it's not because of Trudeau's socialist policies. Just because you asked in good faith, and I appreciate it if you think I'm bright, why do people get mad about us tariffing? It's not just because we're putting tariffs, right? So every president does tariffs. Tariffs are a natural part of the ebb and flow of trade. Sometimes we want to be more protectionist. We are notoriously.
I appreciate you admitting that.
Which thing?
I appreciate you admitting that.
Oh, yeah. No, so anyone who just says
the line that the common line, economic experts say that tariffs are universally bad or whatever.
So yeah, I think that might be an interpretation. I know some people might say that and they not know. They just think, oh, tariff bad. Because I'll admit this, I did not focus on tariffs until very recently when they became a big talking point, right? Like I knew what they were, but I had to go do some research on them because I don't think this is something that your day-to-day person thinks about. But the thing is, they've always been there, right? We do some tariffs on certain products that we want our farmers to have an easier time doing. I think soybeans is one of them because we say, hey, look, like China could do this for way cheaper. They pay their workers way less, but we don't want our farmers to go bankrupt. So we've been doing stuff like that for, as far as I know, like the history of America. However, what Trump was doing, and which is very different, and what people is upset, and which is, I think, tanking our economy right now, is proposing these blanket tariffs, these massive tariffs on an unprecedented scale. So I think in his campaign, he said, let us put a 25% tariff on every incoming good. This is, and if you do believe in free trade, this is completely the opposite of free trade. I mean, it's interesting. You said you're free trade. You also said you're isolationist. These are kind of conflicting ideas. Free trade is kind of this globalist idea of, hey, let's have as little restriction on trade with every country as possible. Maybe there's some comparative advantage from Taiwan. They're better at making chips, so we can get our chips from Taiwan. Mexico has cheaper manufacturing. We can get our car parts from there. And that is a globalist idea. It's very anti-isolationist. Isolationists would
actually. I want to stop you just for 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. No, anytime you need to.
Actually, I'm not interventionist. I just have to use the term isolationist so most people.
Okay, so you just mean I don't want to go do wars in other countries. Not we shouldn't communicate and trade.
I don't believe our country should dictate economic policy. I do not believe that our country should subsidize other foreign nations at the expense of our taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that militarily, all of our military belongs within our borders, and us providing the veil of security for the world is a bad thing.
Okay, we can get on that. But I guess just the last thing I'll say about the tariff thing is, people and economists don't think tariffs are bad, period. Every country does tariffs. Economists think that the precedent of tariffs, the degree of tariffs that Trump is imposing and the way that he's doing it, first of all, the purpose is, I want to bring back American industry, and it's clearly not working. You can, if you want like a historical precedent with Trump, you can look at I think it's 2019, maybe it was 2017, the steel tariffs. It really didn't bring industry back, and you kind of look at all of the analyses. At worst, at best, it was neutral. At worst, it actually hurt our economy and our steel industry. And he's doing this under this veil of, I can use these tariffs to bring back American industry, and it just doesn't seem to be something that anyone thinks will happen, at least to the degree of all the smartest economists in the world. Now, if you're hesitant to defer to those experts, I understand that. I understand questioning experts. I don't think you shouldn't, but I just don't know who else you would trust for this. And it seems like across the political spectrum, they all kind of agree that this is not going to work. But do you want to talk about this idea of like you don't want to be the world police?
Well, I want to make clear one thing to my chat here real quick. I do not co-sign that. That's a conservative. I definitely have a much different take on that. But go ahead, Grid.
But you want to be wait? Are you not you want to be the world police, Gibbs?
No, I want to be an imperialist and just like start conquering. Let's just like take over Haiti. Like, tell me, hey, well, all right, we're gonna derail if we do this. But go ahead, Grid, answer this thing, and then we have that debate later.
I'm not an imperialist. I do not. You do not hear the Empire Death March playing in the background over here. So I want to take it back 1 second before we move into because I don't want to move off topic. Because you said something really important about subsidizing soybeans,
Mhm.
and the reason that we have to do that is not because we don't want China China can sell them here cheaper. It's that we want U.S. farmers to grow those instead of growing other crops, and this has actually hurt us many times over throughout the last, I don't know, 100 years. Where and the most famous example is Jimmy Carter said to grow corn, grow corn, grow wheat. We're going to grow all these things. We're going to sell them to Russia. We were going to sell them to the Ukraine, and it didn't work. And you may remember, have you ever heard a song by John Cougar Mellencamp, "Blood on the," pardon me, "Scarecrow"? Blood on the
Probably.
Scarecrow, blood
I
on
have a
the.
white boomer dad, so I almost definitely have heard it in the
Okay,
garage.
good. Yeah, yeah. I'm old. I'm old. I remember this. I remember the white crosses in the town squares, one cross for every farm that was auctioned off. Because what happened is Carter told them to grow, do all of this stuff, and they did, and it took out massive loans because farming is a very poor business model. But they take out all these loans to buy seed, to buy equipment, to buy fuel, and then at the end of the year they sell the crops and they pay back the bank and they have money left over. And they did that. The only problem is nobody bought that wheat, nobody bought that corn, nobody bought any of that. And so we constantly meddle in markets. The government does. When I say we, I mean the government. I'm not talking about you, and I'm not talking about
Yeah,
me.
us America, yeah.
I'm talking about our
Proverbial
government.
we.
Yeah, the proverbial we here, and we're wrong. We get it wrong so often that we should not be doing it. Right? Um, you can't point to a foreign war or police action. So we haven't had a war since World War II. You can't point to a single military involvement that we've been in the last 70 years that has worked out for us. Not one.
Bosnian genocide. I think we did a pretty good job stopping that. I'm a big supporter of that.
But then the Serbians and Croatians went right back at it and started killing each other all over again. They were
Sure,
still
but
killing each other.
we've secured the independence and security of the Albanian Muslims in Kosovo. I think they're doing pretty well and recovering pretty well. At least
Well-
last time I was there in 2012, they're doing pretty well. So
Just to throw this out here, that kind of really, I don't know, like for every good we do, I do have a concern here. Like sometimes it's I don't know our politics, but like why, like I have a friend who's Kurdish, right, and we left them out to dry. I find our policy kind of inconsistent on both sides when we talk about going overseas and invade, like, stopping the Serbian genocide, but we're gonna let Saddam Hussein gas the Kurds. It's or ISIS kill the Kurds and whatever, or Turkey kill the Kurds, and I find it just interesting, like I don't know, maybe this is a meta analysis, like which genocides are the ones we're all mad about and which ones we're not.
Yeah,
like,
I mean
that's a more of a
and
meta
that's
thing. I don't know why I went off on a tangent.
that's
right
beyond
now.
the
Sorry.
scope of this. I just kind of wanted to, again, I think Trump is trying to draw us out of the world stage as much as possible while retaining what might we can have. And I think that that's a good thing. And he can do that through tariffs. He can do that through other means. And I'm okay with it.
well,
I really am.
do you think
I'm
he's doing
actually
that when
really
he?
okay with it.
I understand your point, but do you think he's doing that when he's talking about like annexing Greenland or the Panama Canal? Like it really does seem like he is doing imperialist things
Well, I think
at
the
the same
Panama
Well,
time.
that's
Canal-
perfect. I want to talk about that, Greg, because you just brought this up in your last kind of thing, maybe a few minutes ago.
Yes.
You said I don't want to pay for Canada, like whether we invade or we buy it or whatever. Now I have floated several proposals previously on like how we could buy Greenland. I've seen that come about, right? What is the fundamental difference to you in regards to like Greenland and buying Canada? What do you see the fundamental difference as?
I mean, I think that it's. Look, I have not. We'd have to annex Greenland, right? They would basically have to vote. I mean, not Greenland, Canada. They'd have to vote unilaterally to be a part of the U.S., which I think honestly most of them would at this point. But
I think the polling doesn't support that. If you
really,
see in the polling, yeah, no, most
I'll
Canadians
have
do
to-
not
I'll have
want
to
to
look
become
again,
a part
but
of
the
America.
last time I looked at the polling, it was pretty heavily weighted towards being part of the U.S. So and the the Greenland thing is weird to me. It seems like that should be a pretty straightforward international deal. There's only 58,000 people that live on that hunk of rock. It does have some minerals. It does have some value. I mean, it's not worthless ground. But it's
real quick, I'll link this to you, Gibbs. It's a YouGov poll said 15% of Canadians support it. 8% not sure, 77% strongly or somewhat opposed. But this is a YouGov poll. I don't know like what sources you've been looking at, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
I forget what I saw a poll where it was something like 53% said okay, and a bunch of undecideds and whatever. It doesn't matter.
I'll just make a group DM so if you want to post some sources or something.
Yeah, that sounds good. For now, it's in your DM chat. But I just don't think Canada wants this. I think the same thing for Greenland. It's 6%. So the problem is Trump is continuing this rhetoric of, hey, I'm going to do this. He talks about these potentially peaceful options. Like, don't get me wrong. If somehow Canada said 90% of Canada voted, or even like a majority, however their political system works,
Sure.
like, let's become part of America, I'd say, okay, look, I don't know why they'd want that. Maybe it's to make their currency better because their monopoly money sucks. But, like, I understand. Like, it's like, okay, that at least they're voting on it. There's a democratic process.
Okay,
want
everyone to forget about war crimes.
Maybe, yeah. But here's the thing: they're not. All right, so, like, that's not going to happen. That's like a pie in the sky thing. And so the only other way this is going to happen, and he's continuing to push for it, is military force or some sort of like egregious, overuse of our hard power. And it seems, I mean, this stranger things have happened, and NATO has already talked about should we be putting troops on the border of Greenland to defend against an American incursion, which is one of the scariest things I've read all year. That was like
that would be hilarious. That would actually be really hilarious.
Well, hilarious in the sense of they thought they could maybe take the U.S. military, because you're right, we are the strongest military, and we'd stop NATO.
No, I mean, it's just hilarious that NATO thinks they can do anything without the U.S.
No, I right. Again, I understand that. What I'm saying is that's funny that it's like, yeah.
Who's going to give them a ride? They don't even have airplanes.
I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is,
Titanic. You're gonna. Come on, man.
What I'm saying is that's terrifying that we would go to war with Europe to annex a independent country that doesn't want to be a part of the U.S. That is insane to me. Like, I don't think we should do that. And I think that American troops or European troops dying over this piece of land that Trump is pushing for is very scary. So I very much hope he doesn't do this imperialistic action. But
hold on. Let me ask a question. So you said that it's scary, right? So Are you renouncing like Manifest Destiny or invading Mexico and conquering all of like the California area and all that? Like, do you think it's always bad when someone gets conquered and brought into the fold, or are you saying that only specifically in this case?
Well, are you talking about like in our history, like the conquering and all that?
Would you say that?
It's hard for me to put a moral compass of today onto like, obviously I can look back and say I don't like the way the conquistadors, killed all of these Native Americans. I don't like the way that Europeans came in and slaughtered people and took over their land. And like I think in a modern lens though, we can see that, yeah, okay, maybe that was bad back then. It doesn't matter. This has happened. Maybe we can rectify it. I don't know. But now we shouldn't be doing this to independent sovereign countries. I mean, the whole reason that we're like defending Ukraine is like, hey, like Russia's taking over their sovereignty. They're defending themselves. And in the same way, I would say, people should fund the shit out of Greenland if America's going to attack it. Like, why should we get our might?
You think international rules-based order
is good? That are living there?
Sorry, say again.
All 58,000 people that live on.
So yeah, I guess this is going to go to you, Grid. So he basically, from what I understand, he's a fan of international rules-based order. You're wanting to go to a more isolationist stance, not like full isolationist. It doesn't seem like, but
taking over Greenland is not isolationist,
which is not isolationist, right? Yeah. So do you
hold on? Conquering is not intervening.
Well, it's not isolationist either.
Yeah, I mean,
conquering's just that's just real estate.
Well, so if you're anti-interventionalist, that's I understand that you're like, hey, I don't think we should be subsidizing or defending these countries that have nothing to do with us. But I mean, I actually do want to get to that in just a second. But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't use the word isolationist because it's very much mutually exclusive from invading Greenland.
Yeah, I guess here's where I really am at on the Greenland Canada thing. If we wanted to annex Canada, all we'd have to do is extend the border of Texas to the Canadian border, and it'd be done the next day.
Yeah, probably. I agree with that. But like, okay, well, let's move to another.
Can we talk about this? Like, not defending.
I'm being a little tongue in cheek there, but Canada's disarmed their citizens. Like literally, the average Tennessee Boy Scout troop could probably take Canada. Right?
Yeah, no, but
more,
this is
we have more
like a
guns
might
than
makes right thing, right? In the sense, like,
well, no, it's just might makes.
Right, I hear it say that, but again, like, I don't think it's right to go do that. Yeah, obviously we could, like, the American government, if we wanted to, could probably take over Canada. We absolutely could take over
We could do
Greenland.
it with,
I don't think
I bet
we
could do
should.
it in like a couple of weeks. Very little bloodshed.
Careful, that's you're sounding like Vladimir Putin saying we could take Kiev in 2 weeks. Look how well that worked out for them. But let me say this: look, I just on the topic of like subsidizing these other countries, and it's like, yeah, obviously, I mean, I'm not a geopolitical expert, an international law expert. I am not a yeah, just international relations expert, but I do know this, and everything I've ever read and everything I've ever learned tells me that what America does abroad every single time is for our interests. So we don't fund Ukraine because we're like, oh, that poor homeless guy on the corner, here's $100 because I'm just so altruistic. It's because it helps us, right? Like, we can give them, you can say, oh, we're giving them money, we're giving them resources, but in the end, like, it serves our political goals. And the same reason we went to Vietnam, same reason we did Iraq, same reason we did the Gulf War, all the soft power we do, all the hard power we do, any intervention is to serve American interests, and because we might be getting something back. So if we go
again, I think that that's the idea, but I think it fails at that, and here's why. You can't point to an example where we've intervened, where it's had the outcome that we wanted. Well, it may have been the outcome we wanted, but it wasn't the outcome the average American wanted. And let's take you back to 1953. The CIA helps the UK topple the duly elected prime minister of Iran, installing the Shah, who becomes a fundamentalist, who then ushers in all of the what do they call them again? I'm having drawn a blank on their
the Ayatollahs.
Yeah, the Ayatollahs. Thank you. Who ushers in Sharia law and absolutely destroys that country. That country, if you look at pictures back from the early 1950s and late 40s, Iran, Iraq, they were beautiful countries, modern, absolutely modern cities, modern women, modern dudes running around in suits. We've turned them into goat herders again. Now, why do we do that? Well, it was to serve our purposes of oil.
Yeah. No, so let me be clear. You're not going to get me, someone on the left, to defend a lot of the U.S. interventionism as like, oh, this is good. All I'm saying is it seems to be at odds with your ideology, because if you want a strong America, these sorts of things make us strong. We absolutely get it wrong, like in that example. Yeah, you're right. That example absolutely was a huge fuck up. And you can look at like any of the like, I don't know. Again, I'm going to bring up the Bosnian intervention. I mean, like, we have good relations with Albania and Kosovo. Obviously, Serbians aren't a big fan of the U.S. or NATO, but like, these were interventions that I think, one was, this America didn't really give a shit, but like, hey, we're stopping a genocide, so that's altruistic. But really, hey, now we have a country in this area that is not subservient to us, but sympathetic to us because we help them, remain sovereign.
Let's move to another point you brought up, Soy, which was you brought up okay, now I'm blanking. No, Panama. A lot of conservatives in my circle. Once again, I try to like openly say where I come from so that people can know, and I can feel like a semi-fair moderator. I will complain about how we're getting boned by Panama, right? Like we're paying $54,473. I might be a few $100s off per ton on average per ship, and then I think it's something like 60 to 70% of the shipping they get is American shipping. And we built this canal for them, and now they're just boning us. And it's if we took it over and reduced that cost, we would see instant impacts here at home. What do you say to people like those conservatives, Soy, and then I'll let Grid respond in regards to something like the Panama Canal? Like, this seems like something I'm a massive fan of. I think we've been getting fleeced by them, and I think Carter was it Jimmy? Yeah, Carter was almost nearly traitorous for giving it back to him in the manner he did. What are your opinions on it? And then
so that last thing you said, I mean, it is true. We would save a lot of money if we took over the Panama Canal and stopped them from tolling each per ton, like all of the shipping we do through it. But this idea is just because it's true doesn't mean we should. If we took over China and took over their solar panel factories, we would absolutely have cheaper solar manufacturing. But I don't think we should take over China. Panama's a sovereign nation; they have control of the Panama Canal. If we want to use some sort of like U.S. Power, whether that be soft power or some sort of trade negotiation to try to get a better deal, as Trump is the deal maker, supposedly maybe he could negotiate that toll down. I would be understandable of that if it made sense. But this idea that like, well, they're charging us for the service that they're allowing us to go through this Panama Canal, which they now have control over. So we should take over them because that'll give us cheaper goods. Like you could say this about anything, invading any sovereign nation. I just don't think we should be invading people to make our economy a slightly better. Huh?
That's not intellectually honest, is it? You're not being you know better than that, right?
I promise.
So?
Well, hold on. I want to clarify something. If you ever think I'm being intellectually dishonest, I promise you I'm just stupid or misinformed. So
okay,
please.
All right. Fair enough. I have to ask because some people want to, they play games. So we built the Panama Canal at great cost of lives, and money. We operated it. The terms that we gave it back to, or we didn't give it back to Panama. We sold it to Panama for like $1 or something. Jimmy Carter did that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bad deal for us. I don't know why he did it. And I believe part of the terms were that they were going to allow our ships, since we built it, to pass through as they had been before. Which wasn't for free, but it was there was some like price there. I'd have to look it up, and I don't care enough.
Yeah, there's a 25-year contract under Carter.
So I don't think that they necessarily violated the terms, but they've unnecessarily taken it, or they're taking advantage of something that they were given basically for free. And I don't see. I'm on the fence on this because hey, we made a deal. It wasn't the best deal for us.
Mm-hmm.
Carter should have driven a harder bargain. I don't really know. I mean, that's back in the Jim Jones thing. There's a lot of weird stuff going on down in Panama in that area. Who knows what? Who knows what I don't know off the top of my head. But.
Well, let me ask you this. Really, if you tried to sell me one of those guns back there, let's say the one on the very bottom, you said, hey, I'm going to sell you this gun. And I said, I'll give you $10 for it. And you said, awesome, cool deal, right? $10. No, it's an amazing deal, right? All right. So then you walk away from this. And then 30 years later, you say, hold on, I just checked it out. This gun's worth $2,500. You scammed me. And now you are running off. You ran off with my money. I'm going to come into your house and take over your house and take my gun back. It's like, okay, maybe it was a bad deal, but it doesn't justify invading their country.
Yeah, right. And that's what I was saying. It was a deal. We made the deal. I guess the only thing I can agree with Trump on is if they're I've not looked into this. I'm not Googling right now. Like both my hands.
I am, by the way, so feel free to.
That's fine. I try and do everything. I try and do everything from my actual knowledge, and that way I may learn something.
I don't trust anyone, not even myself. So
at the end of the day, I think that the deal Carter made was partly political. Who knows? He made a bad. It wasn't a good deal maker anyway. Let's just be honest. And I think Trump wants to make it. I think he's tried to make a new deal. He doesn't think they're going to go for it. I think he's rattling his sword to see if he can pull them back to the table.
So you don't think he's being serious about threatening military force?
I can never tell if Trump is being serious about threatening military force. So far, what we've seen, just going on his record, is he rattles that saber a lot, and people come back to the table.
Well, the reason they do is because they take him seriously. Because they think, the leader of the free world's threatening me with the strongest military in the world. It doesn't matter if he's joking because I'm going to take this as a serious threat. So,
I got to press back against that, Grin. he doesn't rattle the saber. Do you remember he turned General Salami or Salami into
Soleimani.
Salami? Like, yeah, I mean, yeah,
Soleimani.
Soleimani got turned into Salami, bro. Like, I I don't think he's
He was
afraid.
a bad guy and he
Yeah,
deserved it.
that's true. I agree. Do you remember Russia when they attacked the troops in Syria and he told the troops, "Hey, do what you want," and they wiped out like what 50 or 500 or some outrageous amount of wagner. Listen, I could the same thing.
Again,
He
it's the character of the
bombed
stick,
Syria.
right?
Yeah,
It is the character of the
the
stick
thing.
with Trump.
If you want my analysis, and this is where I'm going to push back, is Trump is. This is why Trump is hard to negotiate with because he is willing to play the chicken and be like, okay, I got a revolver, you got a revolver. I bet I have more bullets in my revolver by the time we're done than you do. And I think that's kind of why some of these countries take him so seriously because they don't know. And this is actually a perfect segue into the next foreign policy topic, and then we'll move on to some other.
Can I say one last thing, Gibbs, real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
I just think if you are not sure if your president is being serious about military action, which could involve thousands of people being killed in the conflict, and he's negotiating with countries who now will never take America seriously in deals because even if we make a deal that we all agreed on,
are you seriously going to say that when Biden's literally sleepwalked through the last 4 years? Come on, man.
I am going to say, yeah, because no matter what, don't get me wrong, you're never going to get me defending Biden's, coherence. He clearly was a dementia-ridden old man, like sundowning on the debate stage. But regardless,
for him, right?
Yes, I did vote for Joe Biden, but
Okay,
because regardless of that, with the policies that he passes, the bills that he passes, I still support. And like, and let me get this straight: if Joe Biden was literally Weekend at Bernie's corpse being puppeted around by a man with strings or something, so long as his cabinet was making the same kind of deals with these countries that they trust and know that they can continue to trust America, I'd still support it. So, yeah.
We'll come back to that for sure because I definitely want to. We're going to go that. So I mean, I guess where I wanted to go with our last foreign policy thing before we move on, because we covered what tariffs, covered Greenland, we covered Panama. Is I guess Mexico in the cartels he's threatened military action. I don't see why he would be just bluffing. Like, well, so okay, you would love to see that. That would be interventionism because you think he's actually going to conquer Mexico?
No, I don't think he will. But I really want to see him back. I want to see him back the Mexican government in their war against the cartels. I don't necessarily want us to.
Some would argue that the Mexican government is the cartel.
I mean,
parts of it are under cartel control, but I mean, I don't think the president is.
Sinaloa governor has notoriously been a cartel puppet for the last 50 years. I don't off and on.
Well, Grid, I can even make this argument for Grid. It's not interventionist because from Trump's point of view, they're hurting us, right? They're illegal immigrants are coming across the border. You've got fentanyl coming across the border. It's harming Americans. Like that could be arguably self-defense and still be isolationist.
Yeah,
okay, fair enough.
I'm going to give you my angle on this. All right. I was annoyed when Obama did Fast and Furious and literally lied to Americans. And while they were taking guns from Americans, they were literally, you've ever heard the term sleepwalking? They were sleepwalking guns across the border, right under the nose of the ATF.
Could you elaborate on that with me? Because when you referred to Joe Biden, I knew what you meant by sleepwalking, but in terms of smuggling guns, I actually don't. So.
Oh, that means that the ATF knows it's happening. And they watch it, literally watch it happen, and they just ignore it.
Gotcha. Okay.
They're sleepwalking it across the board. Anyway, sorry, it's a term.
Well, wasn't the idea of doing this to track the guns and make sure that they can use them to find it would be like us letting nuclear military materials fall into the hands of terrorists because we want to find out where the terrorists are. Like, I'm not saying it's a good thing if they fuck up and now it's like, oh well, now these terrorists have nuclear weapons, but I think the idea was not, hey, let's just give the cartels guns because we love the cartels. It's, hey, let's put trackers on these or whatever.
Depends on which story you want to believe.
Well, why wouldn't you believe that?
The story that the first story we were given was that they were arming weaker cartels to fight larger cartels for everybody, right? So basically, they were promoting infighting. This is some CIA bullshit.
Okay.
To basically weaken the cartels and allow the Mexican army some chance of controlling the cartels. That was the idea.
Okay.
But that's the first thing we were told. When everyone called bullshit on it, because none of those guns were actually, I mean, the cartels weren't fighting each other. They were using those guns to actually shoot police officers. There was famously an entire police station jail somewhere in Mexico that was wiped out. completely wiped out. There's a video of the cops. Like it literally looks like Afghanistan. These Mexican cops fighting the cartel members. It's hilarious. I mean,
Yeah, sure. So 100%, if you let these guns fall into cartel hands, just because you're tracking them doesn't mean they're not going to use them to do things that are really, really bad. And I don't know. I haven't studied this, but like I'm sure things that weren't good happened.
Yeah,
but
they have no way of tracking them. Tracking them is irrelevant. They don't have any way of tracking them. So then they came up with the story that they were going to track them. But they never explained how or why, or there were no serial numbers recorded or any of this other stuff. It was very interesting. It was just the CIA doing CIA shit.
Sure.
And so we've messed around down there so much that I would actually support not sending men across the border to fight the cartels, but certainly selling the Mexican government, whatever.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about that. Hold on. I gotta fight this.
Well, Gibbs, before you, I have a less contentious way of before you ask your contentious, because I know you seem a little contentious about this, but this is just a really quick question for you, Grid. Yeah, is that completely at odds with your non-interventionalist thing, or is that because as long as you pay cash?
I'm not saying we're giving it to them. We're not going to give it to them.
Well, this is kind of what I was trying to explain before. Is like, yeah, sure, Ukraine, you could say that they're loans, or maybe they're never going to pay these back because we give them all this old equipment. But like, we're not doing it out of the goodness of our hearts. We're doing this because it helps us, right? So for every Javelin missile we send to Ukraine, that's like one, maybe two Russian tank exploded that we don't have to blow up if we ever get into a conflict with Russia. In the same way, we would be giving money to the cartels. Sure, you don't have to. I'm just saying, like that is the American justification for it.
I want to fight this fight real quick, Grid, because So, all right, what you're proposing has been done, and it backfired spectacularly, so bad that now. So when I was growing up, we had La M, right? La M was the main cartel, and they had a bunch of little small ones. Now we have the Zetas, and the Zetas were created by U.S. Special Forces that were Mexican military trained, because Mexico surprisingly has a fucking good military, and they're very effective. They're one of the countries that actually goes all over the world. And here's the thing: we trained these guys up, and then they broke away in mass, and now you know where these fuckers are? They're all along the southern border in Brownsville and Laredo, and they're killing people broadly in the streets all the time. And they just classify it as Texas gang violence, but it's the cartels, it's Zetas. And these guys are literally, some of them are even U.S. soldiers or former U.S. soldiers that are in there in this group. So whenever you're sitting here telling me the solution is send money to the Mexican government to fight this, or train them up, or don't send the troops.
No, I didn't say any of those things.
Well, yeah, but you did. You said, we should either train them up or we should send, what did you say?
I said we can sell them weapons.
Oh, good. So we're selling the guys that we train better weapons.
Mexico, the actual army, not the cartels. I understand that in some places that's the same thing. I just
making sure.
I would support the Mexican government buying weapons, just like Poland. I support Poland buying. I love Poland. Poland buys so much shit from us. They pay cash. They are literally like they're literally like what Texas would be.
Yeah, Little Texas is what we call them.
Yeah, they're what Texas would be if there wasn't the NFA.
Well, Texas does have its own. Anyway, Texas has the only state I think that has its own military branches, but that's a whole different thing. Also, here's one. So I guess one more foreign policy topic. F-35 program, massive hits because now these countries don't want to buy them. Mm-hmm. What's your argument for that, Grid? Like, are you fan or not a fan?
I mean, we were selling. The whole purpose behind selling the F-35 is to fund the new fighter. I don't know that it really matters globally in our military spending, unfortunately. I think it should. I think, that there was a purpose behind doing what they said they were doing. They just haven't done it. I don't know. I don't have a strong...
I have a semi-strong opinion on this. Just to say, and this is kind of what I was speaking about before, where I think Portugal was the first country I read about that's doing this. But people, are pulling out of buying American military equipment because they say we can't trust you anymore. You're not a reliable trade partner, and this is hurting America, right? Like when countries lose faith in us, like in the same way these same countries are now issuing travel warnings because of non-citizens or permanent residents being, snatched up. Like it's hurting our global power with these countries. It's hurting our ability to have free trade. It's hurting our ability to sell things because no one trusts us. No one thinks we're going to hold up our deals. No one trusts, where no one knows where our allegiances lie. It's kind of hurting everything that would otherwise have made America the hegemonic power. And it's very confusing to me.
We have allegiance with Portugal?
Well, yeah, 100%. They're our ally, yes.
How are they an ally?
Because there are, I don't know what you're asking. They're our ally, like in the same way that any other country that aligns with our geopolitical goals.
Do they send us money?
I don't know. I'm sure we do trade with them. They probably send us some sort of products. Well, we send money to NATO, and NATO defends Portugal.
Well,
how many troops do they send us?
What makes an ally?
Yeah, what makes an ally? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, like, would you consider Albania our ally because, or not an ally because Albania doesn't send us troops? Like, they're our ally because we have the same interests, and we, I'm sure, I think, probably just like many other small countries after 9/11, they sent us like a goat in a cart or something. But like, if they don't have the capacity to send us a shit ton of money,
word. It has some serious ramifications. The word ally.
Okay, well, what's your definition of ally?
I'm allied with Gibbs. His fight is my fight.
Sure.
Okay.
Well,
I'll say this: if someone were to attack Portugal, America would go and defend them, and if someone were to attack America, Portugal would go and defend them.
Has any country ever come to our defense?
Yeah, Canada and Britain. When we invoked the NATO, was it Article 5 during the Iraq War? That's where they went and fought for us.
France, Saratoga.
France as well.
Saratoga, yeah.
Well, I guess if we're going far that back, but I'm talking about in the recent times, yeah. But yeah, countries absolutely come to our aid. The only thing is, we are so powerful that often we do not need it, but sometimes we ask for it occasionally. So.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, moving on to, I guess, our next, I guess maybe it's semi-international. Immigration seems to have been fixed overnight by the Trump administration.
Sorry, guys.
Y'all all knew that if we're on a Gibbs stream and we're talking about Trump's 100 days, we're going to be talking about immigration here to some point. He's got another phone call. What are your thoughts about the immigration so far, Soy Pill?
I think a lot of, people are reactionary in the sense of you get a Democrat and you're like, oh, like any and all, enforcement of the border is terrible. And I just want to come out because I know you have a primarily right-wing audience. So yeah, obviously we need some sort of strong border, but the problem is the way that is being enforced, I think it's cruel. I think it's inefficient. I think the amount of money we're spending to deport people is not working. And if you look at like the actual policy goal, which is a mass deportation of 11 million plus people, it just doesn't make any sense in comparison to doing a Reagan, which is giving amnesty, trying to get these people in the tax system and actually making money for the American people. And especially a thing that really bothers me right now is the plainclothes, Gestapo ICE style raids where they're just pulling up in a van and throwing students into the back of a truck. I think that's insane. It's scary. It's probably a violation of free speech. At the very least, it should concern you if you're, that who are they going to come for next? These people aren't doing, violent crime. The allegations against them are, without charges, and it's, I don't think it's a very good job.
I really would like to get in on this, but unfortunately, my wife has been delayed, so I have to go pick my son up at daycare.
Oh man!
So, all right. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for we got a spirited hour in here.
Well, thanks for joining. It was nice to meet you, Good.
Yeah, I was. I really want to keep going with this, but I can't.
This is all your idea. No, I'm just kidding.
I know it was, but I thought my wife was picking up my kid. I'm sorry.
Hey, Democrats will support stronger subsidies for childcare, so I just want to throw that out there. You would get to stay with a Democrat president right now. So
no, I still have to go pick them up.
School buses, more school buses.
It was fun. Soy Pill, you were a much better faith than I thought, and for an off the cuff, you did very well. I don't think I did very well. I'm kind of scatterbrained today, but that's okay.
No worries. I appreciate the talk, and if you want to talk longer in the future, let me know.
Yeah, and Soy, I hope you. We're not always this disorganized over in Papa Gibbs land.
That's what you said yesterday.
Listen, we're filling things in. This was his fault this time, and Dylan's before that. But we over here, we making things happen.
Hey, I'm always. If I say I'm going to be there, I'll be there. Unfortunately, this time I do have to bow out. You guys have a great rest of your day, and
you as well.
I will. I'll catch you guys later. Sorry, Gibbs, man. I'm sorry. That was totally unplanned, man. Sorry, and totally unprofessional.
Hey, things happen.
Totally.
You're just lucky. Yeah, I'm just lucky. I don't have children to go pick up because I would have abandoned them for this debate, and CPS would have been called.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't. See you guys.
Toodaloo.
Well, so I guess we can end on that note. Tell us what your thoughts are. I'm sure we'll get another one here soon. I once again appreciate you filling in last minute.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for asking me. I
on this
appreciate it.
impromptu
Hey,
one.
look, I have more viewers on this impromptu debate I announced 3 minutes before the stream than I did yesterday for the double stream. I'm happy to entertain people. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for asking me. Yeah, I think Trump has been a colossal failure. I think he's like as bad as everyone said he would be back in 2016. And I think 2016 and for those first 4 years, it wasn't as bad as everyone said it was going to be. Everyone said it was going to be World War III. There are going to be nukes going off. He's going to destroy America. And I said, this is hyperbole. And it didn't happen. And I said, oh, look at all these crazy liberals. They're just exaggerating too much. Now I think they were proven 100% correct. He just needed a little more time, a little more focus. And he is absolutely doing everything they said he was going to do. He's restricting free speech. He is doing interventionist, crazy imperialist crap. And it's scaring the fuck out of me. I think anyone who really cares about America should be worried about this because we are ruining America's power. I think it's weird that these isolationists are so pro-patriotic, but so not pro-America having the reach and extent and power that it used to have, what made us so strong. I, if anything, would be against a lot of these, CIA coups and stuff that we do. But it's strange to me that these people that would otherwise be pro this seem to be anti this just because Trump says it. Anyway, I'm very worried about the future of our country, but I think the Christian nationalists are happy. So, more power to them. Not, knock on wood. I don't want them to, but I'm really scared. I think we should be fighting back. So thanks for watching. If you like my opinions, go watch my streams, go watch my video essays, and type 1 to end the deep state.
Check it out. I posted his YouTube and pinned it here. Y'all go check it out. Soy Pill on YouTube. Good stuff. And once again, like I said, thanks for filling in last minute. And filling in last minute yesterday for 2 streams. We need more lefties that don't run. That's always good.
I charge head first without looking. All right, so
that's the right way to do it. But I appreciate it. I'll let you go here. You get your nap in now. And
now you got me up. I'm streaming now. But thank you very much.
Hey, there you go. Y'all be good. All right, thank you.
Have a good night. Bye.